We can't avoid having conversations about politics, because I have personally come to a conclusion that these narratives that dominate are essentially of two kinds. They are both about power. The first is the power that governs, dominates society, which is politics. Number two, that puts money into the pocket. So business and politics.
If we keep growing this population as we are without meeting the needs, educational needs, healthcare needs, needs of people to have a livelihood and to build and to make their families, I don't know the end of it.
So in terms of intelligence, I've been now going backwards to the evolution of intelligence. Language was not always there in humanity. There were at points where we were communicating or understanding the world without language. And then when we developed language, we lost most of those other abilities of intelligence. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Two Sages podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed our previous conversations. If this is your first time here, make sure that you subscribe so that you keep seeing our upcoming episodes. I also want to let you know that our episodes have expanded to be on all platforms that provide podcasts through audio, at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen your podcasts from. So welcome back. For another episode, as usual, our usual custom, something from since the last time we met, a highlight, as I usually call them.
Well, Zach, you've been doing
No, I think you're amazing. You have stories.
Oh, goodness. Well, I've actually spent the last, feels a long time, but about 10 days in Manchester in England. And, I was thinking why I like Uganda. I like the warm people, but I like the warm weather as well. Because we had really a cold snap in Manchester, and it was. I just wanted to stay in the hotel and not venture out. So it's amazing how the weather. I was thinking while I was there, it's actually people, generally speaking, in cold climates who have progressed. In terms of. No, don't get into colonialism and stuff like this. But they,
Just do your
because
thing.
they have to cope with all these circumstances. It makes them more innovative. I think it makes them have to deal with it. Whereas we have this nice, warm climate, beautiful environment here in Uganda. Absolutely beautiful environment. So we're not really pushed as hard because just functioning in the cold is hard. But I was there again with another coffee trip with a bunch of mainly young people. I would say people. I was the outlier, certainly the old person, but most people were in their 40s, even their 20s. Ugandans involved in the coffee sector in one way or another, and it's just a pleasure to be with them. And I think that's one of the things that makes me most hopeful is when I see the energy of young people, and then I see them also really trying to do something, build businesses, be entrepreneurial, be innovative, and in a market that's global. I'm trying to understand the global market, and so it was it was great for networking. I think I learned a lot. Made new contacts and enjoyed the people I was with. So, yeah, apart from the cold weather, it was great.
That's great. You mentioned the word outliers. I want to mention it. We shall bring it out in our conversation. You said you were the outlier.
It's outlier in terms of age, yeah.
Okay, yes.
It's good for him. to feel what it means to be on the margins.
I didn't feel I was on the margins at all. I in fact, some of the young people, some of those guys, they have their small businesses and they really don't have money, so they...
The Ugandans that you went with?
Yeah, some of them. So some of them had, it was a spectrum, but I knew some of those young people really didn't have money for taxi fares and this sort of stuff, you see. And so one of them said at once, "How do we do so?" "Oh, we're going with Ian." because I have Uber and stuff like that.
Please.
And I thought, well, yeah, that's a good function for me, like a father to these people,
No, I think it's, talking about meetings. I was in Midrand, near Pretoria, at the headquarters of the Pan-African Parliament, participating in an interesting conference on the resurgence of military coups and militarization of politics. And
very topical.
yeah, I mean, it's awakening, where Africa is and so on. So that was, anyway, to some degree, very depressing, to get a sense that over the last 6 or so decades, there have been no progress. And then to get a sense that the people in leadership who could change this have vested interest in the continuing state of our, it was sad anyway, of our situation. However, as Ian says, linking with younger people who are seeking to reimagine the state, Africa, that was exciting. And so that I loved. Again, I think, as I said before, the encounter of a South Africa that is broken, apartheid is as real, and so on and so forth. So, but experiencing that, Pretoria, Johannesburg, yeah, that was one. Another major conference that I was involved in, for which I was one of the leaders. Similar themes around violence and Christianity and so on. So it's been a time when my mind has been challenged. Some sense of lack of progress, the degenerating of various aspects of society, but also the hope for a generation. Flickering lights is what I call it, flickering lights of hope. And I really want to connect with those flickering lights of hope. So it was good to be able to see them, experience them. And so it's been, yeah.
Speaking of outliers and of, you say flickering hope, the Bangladesh situation, it's probably, a year ago? Or
which one?
Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Where there were how can I say, there was rebellion against the government. And one of their demands, they asked for Professor Muhammad Yunus, to be put in as an interim. I think, what did they call him? He wasn't the president, but he was leading the government. And I was just reading recently about that situation. I know Professor Yunus personally. He's been over here a few times.
I
he's
remember.
done lectures
We did some things,
at the university, yeah. And he's a great guy. He's the one that started Grameen Bank, the microfinance. Mm. And he, if you track what he has done and what the reforms that have been brought in over this period of time, and now I think they're installing another president, it's been really so constructive. It's been so amazing that things have been. And I thought, now, isn't that a big contrast to the Gen Z? Even the Arab Spring, where you had protests, but then they just led to further repression and dictatorship. And I think, that's one of the things. These kids in Gen Z, they know the issues and they protest them, but then the response is to clamp down, as I think CNN described it as a Tanzania's Tiananmen Square moment. And that clamping down of these kids who have been slain. And it wouldn't it be amazing if when these issues are raised, you could have elders, because elders do have some use as well.
Totally.
But you could have elders who could come and say, all right, well, let's deal with these issues. And as far as I can see, Muhammad Yunus has actually dealt with a lot of things, even like traffic in Bangladesh. Even to introduce smart traffic systems, to do a lot of common sense things, because really a lot of the problems we suffer from in Uganda, I described the lovely warm weather, the lovely warm people, and all that, and yet we suffer from a lot of chaos just because of lack of organisation. Sometimes it's not even about who controls the thing. So, yeah.
Well, you speak about the good Professor Yunus. As we've said before, leadership. But yeah, one of my arguments at all these meetings is there's been questions around the youth bulge, youthful Africa. And the question has been, does this signal a demographic dividend? Which often has been, you have quite a significant section of the population who are energetic, therefore work, therefore catalyze economic development. And I say, actually, it's a demographic dividend in a different way, because you have now a significant section of the population, a critical mass of disgruntled people who have energy, who are going to push back. And I think that that's the demographic dividend we have now. It's the youthful population that are simply not going to be at peace and at home with status quo that has created what we have. So, and I think we will see that a lot. And I think we will, the comment you make. I think that I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ian, that the absence of the elder's voice, and it's an absence that is both created, it's an absence, but we can talk about it. But yes, there is a resonance in the things that you've said about my experience over the last 3 or so weeks. Yeah.
Wow, this is exciting. While both of you were sharing, I was just thinking about how tired you are. But when you're talking about the things you're talking about, you're energetic, and I guess this is what it takes to do exceptional things.